My neighbor used to peek at me over her fence when I was little. Her fence is 10 feet tall. I didn't realize my new customer used to be my neighbor until I pulled into her driveway. The street name had sounded vaguely familiar when I first read it. A few landmarks on the drive over had sparked something in me. Nothing solid, though, just a prickling sense of recognition I couldn't place. It only clicked when I actually saw my old childhood home sitting right beside my customer's property. I know it's strange that it took me that long, that I hadn't recognized anything when I put the address into Google Maps. But my uncle moved me out of this quiet neighborhood when I was 6. I barely remembered anything about living on this street or in that house. My girlfriend Ellie said that wasn't quite normal, told me, gently, that it was probably my brain blocking things out on purpose. I sat, gripping the steering wheel long after I'd parked, staring at my childhood home. It backed onto a large woodland area, tall trees looming far above the roof. The bungalow itself looked abandoned, shattered windows, empty bottles scattered across dead yellow grass. Clearly, no one had lived there in a long time. A heavy pressure settled in my chest. For a moment, I considered leaving, but I'd only started my lawn-mowing business a few months ago. I needed the money. This woman was only my 3rd customer so far. She hadn't called like the others. She'd emailed instead, "Am interested in your service, every week Sunday work." I replied that Sundays were fine and asked for the address. She sent it, followed by another message. Door left open Sundays. Money on table. Help self to drink and meal. It struck me as odd that she'd contacted someone who lived an hour away instead of a local business. But she'd promised a generous tip. Still sitting in the van, I tried to remember my old neighbor. Elderly, maybe. The emails felt that way. But when I searched my memory for her face, I came up blank. Just another thing lost to my strange childhood amnesia. Her lawn was wildly overgrown. Knee-high grass, thick and uneven. The house itself was perfectly normal. A neat 2-story place with a front porch. Well kept enough that the state of the yard felt odd, almost like a choice. I hesitated, wondering if I should knock or just start the job. In the end, I got to work. Part of me didn't want to meet her yet. I was delaying it. I couldn't explain why. As I mowed, my gaze kept drifting to the fence separating her property from my old home. It was enormous, easily 10 feet tall. I couldn't believe something like that had been approved in a quiet suburban street. But it wasn't just the size. Every time I looked at it, pressure built behind my eyes. The sensation of a memory forcing its way up while something inside me resisted just as hard. The effort made my head throb. Then, for a split second, I remembered hair. Long, black strands spilling down the fence from the other side, tangled and thin, draped over the timber, clinging to the wood, hanging there like a ragged curtain. I'd frozen on my cheap plastic tricycle. One of the back wheels was missing, so I had to balance my weight just right to keep it upright. It's strange, the useless little details that scramble back when everything else is lost. The hair shifted, and slowly, above the lip of the fence, a pale forehead rose. There were eyes, white and cloudy. I only saw them for a moment, but I knew immediately who they were peeking down at. Me. Only me. Then there had been a sound behind me, maybe a voice, maybe someone calling my name. The eyes vanished. The forehead sank out of sight. The hair slid upward, strand by strand, slithering back over the fence until there was nothing left at all. Cold washed through my body. I tightened my grip on the mower handle and focused on the lines of grass ahead of me. I didn't look at the fence again. Surely it had just been my imagination. Something I'd invented out of boredom. No one could peer over a 10-foot-tall fence unless they were standing on stilts or balancing on some ridiculous ladder. And even then, why would anyone climb that high just to look at a child playing in their backyard? It was too strange to take seriously, too absurd. And yet, an unease bloomed low in my chest and refused to settle. Because that image, hair spilling over the fence, eyes watching, was suddenly one of the clearest memories I had from that house. From that time. Clearer than anything else I could recall in over a decade. I shook my head, forced the image away and got back to work. An hour later, the lawn looked respectable again. I packed my equipment back into my uncle's van. Then I remembered the money.